First, I want to start off with the technological ecosystem. You had mentioned your current estimate is about $19 million, and you're going to fund that internally. Is there a break-even point if the RFP comes back at $25 million? It's a non-starter, $50 million. What's your drop-dead cost of that?
I don't know if we have a drop dead, but we probably have to look at, do we do all three components then, or do we have to split one or two of them out? So.
Okay, and that may be a good idea moving forward. I look at all these IT projects we do. When we go big, it tends to not work. I look at the radio system, I look at the UC system. Every time we go big on an IT project, it never works out in the long run, and it's over budget, over time, and we just keep money at it. I would maybe pull that back and do a RFI on the component pieces and build based on the component pieces, because your priority may be your technology in the car. The camera's a side technology. Get that up and running rather than doing the whole thing at one time. That's just my assessment of looking at IT moving forward. What's your gentleman's definition of a sanctuary city?
I think I would say one in which there are some states, there are some cities that have policies that they are not allowed to interact with ICE in any fashion.
All right. So based on that, do you describe us now as a sanctuary state?
No.
No. So the limiting is you can interact, correct? It's just you're not going to hold. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, sir. I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay. How is your current process on a traffic stop and the driver doesn't have a driver's license?
So that's delineated in the policy fairly well. The operator would be able to, or the trooper would access any available resources, including ICE databases, to determine the identity of the driver.
And it is impossible for an illegal alien to get a driver's license in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
So if you're pulled over, you do not have a driver's license, would it be an assessment to interface with ICE to see if there is a detainer or there is a warrant for that individual?
Yeah, because the potential exists that there would be a criminal warrant for the individual.
Okay, so you're driving, you don't have a driver's license. Is that individual normally held by the state police, or how does that individual end up getting home, or do you take them back to the station? Leave the car beside the road?
That largely depends upon the circumstances. There are situations we can't allow the individual to drive, so the individual may be transported back to the station to obtain transportation. In some situations, we might tow the vehicle if it's in a hazardous location. So that's pretty fact-specific, but generally, yes, the individual would not be allowed to drive from the scene.
Okay. In developing this policy, did you talk to the U.S. Department of Justice about it? Did they have concerns, and at any point are you jeopardizing your federal dollars coming to the state police?
No, sir. As I said before, the two things that were persuasive, the two things that we looked at in developing the policy to ensure we were in compliance, is United States versus Arizona and 8 U.S.C. 1373. Some states and some cities that are, by the definition I had indicated, deemed to be sanctuary, they knowingly and overtly violate 8 U.S.C. 1373. They simply will not provide information to ICE, and they will not interact with ICE in any fashion. And so one of the criteria when we developed policy was to be certain that we were not violative of federal law and that we do maintain communications with ICE.
Okay, because I worry. I don't want Interpol to have a detainer on a murder that's in our jurisdiction, and we do not turn that individual over. I don't think we want to see violent criminals just caught and released. Correct?
That's correct.